I was on YouTube and I was watching tier list videos. You know, where they have like 4 or 5 criteria and they rank things. Really fun to watch. Got me thinking, what could we do on a tier list? Topic you seem to love on this channel, self-improvement books. So ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the tier list of the 14 best self-improvement books. 3 criteria for choosing these books. 1, it either had to have 10,000 or more Amazon reviews or sold over 5 million copies. 2, I have personally read it cover to cover so I can have an opinion on it. 3, has to be a book that most of us would know. To spice up this video, I'm gonna give you my favorite point from the book as well as why it deserves the ranking, in my opinion, that it has. First up, we got Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill interviewed the best moguls of his time. His goal was to identify key habits or laws that made them successful. How'd you make $1 million? How'd you rise to the top? Since writing it, sold over 100 million copies. So where are we putting Think and Grow Rich? 100 million copies sold. Gotta give it the C tier. There's conflicting stories on Napoleon Hill, whether he actually practiced what he preached. Obviously, I don't personally know the guy, but some people said he wrote a book on getting rich and all the success, and he actually died not very successful himself. Worth a read, but I think just one. Next up, let's do something juicy. Let's talk about The Secret. 35+ million copies sold. Published in 2006, it's probably more well known for the movie titled after the same name, The Secret. This is like the law of attraction books. Talks about how your thoughts are things. You are a co-creator of this universe. You're not just a victim of circumstance. So where do we put The Secret on the list? A legendary book. This one's a little tough. It was either gonna be B or D tier, and I'll explain why. I remember watching the movie for the first time. I think I was in like college, and it was so inspiring that I sprinted and grabbed my journal and started taking notes. And then I did a double feature watching it twice. It was the book that turned me on to thoughts are things. Thinking does hold the power to manifest what you want. Is it overrated? Possibly. Do people take the ideas in here about The Secret and I can just think my way rich and take it a little too far? I would say so. But I guess all things at a certain point can be taken too far. So that's why it's the B tier. Definitely worth a read or worth a watch. Next up, we're talking about the book you probably saw in Urban Outfitters, Art of Not Giving an F. Keeping it PG on this channel. The big idea I got from this book was that self-improvement is good, right? All these books will tell you how to improve yourself, how to change your habits, how to build good new ones, how to change your thinking. But it's half the battle. The other half the battle is self-healing, self-acceptance. Those are 2 different things. The Art of Not Giving a F is not about just being apathetic or whatever happens, happens, man. I don't care. I don't give an F. That's not what this book is about. The book's about how we're all a little insecure. We're all a little too hard on ourselves. We all hold on to the past a little too much, but we're all a work in progress. And just because you're not perfect doesn't mean you have to deprive yourself of the happiness and joy in the present moment. So where are we putting this bad boy on our tier list? You know what? I'm giving this an A tier. Our first A tier book of the video. I think it's worth all the hype out there. I believe it sold around 8 million copies. I think people who don't like this book just don't like the title and they haven't actually read what's in here. I've probably read this thing 5 times cover to cover. Next up, we got Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. This book tells you what the rich know that the poor don't. The big idea from this book is something called financial IQ. It tells the story of Robert Kiyosaki having 2 dads growing up. One was rich, one was poor. The wrong approach is that most people are trying to save or earn their way rich. If I can just get a high paying enough job, $100,000, work 10 years, I'll be a millionaire. But life doesn't work that way, does it? You got bills, you got taxes, you got unexpected things come up, you want to buy certain things. That's a losing battle, is trying to earn your way rich. What he talks about in here is investing your way rich. That's one of the secrets. So where are we putting this one? Robert Kiyosaki, we're gonna give him the B tier. I think that this is so well written. It's definitely worth a read. Changes your mindset around money, wealth, investing. Just like anything, that is a learnable skill. I don't have this one in the stack, but next up we have Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist. It's a novel written in story form about a shepherd who goes on the search for a treasure, only to find that his treasure is right below him where he was all along. It sold over 150 million plus copies, and it's a book all about following your heart and your intuition while also not neglecting the journey along the way. And so where do we put this bad boy? We're gonna put it on the D tier, and I'll tell you why. Again, 150+ million copies sold. It's not a bad book at all. And if you're in a place in your life where you need more belief for the next 20 to 30 years, I think it's an absolute great read. But if you're trying to go after hardcore self-improvement, tactical advice, might want to sit that one out. Let's talk now about atomic habits. Big idea here is up to 46% of every single thing you do today is not conscious, it's subconscious, it's habit-based. We're literally just replaying the same loop 46% as the day before. Even you watching this video probably had to do with habit. Algorithms show you, based on habits, what you will like, what you've habitually watched in the past. Going further, everything you are today is just a collection of actions. Some you took last week and they affect you today, some you took 5 years ago and now you have the consequence or reward from that. So if you want to change your life, don't just go after actions because that relies on willpower and that fades away. Go after habits because that's actually controlling the actions you take. See the difference? And I know you're thinking, Clark, habits are so hard to break. I'm trying to get that 6-pack now for 5-10 years. But damn it, are the flaming hots delicious. What I like about this book, it gives you your power back. Not to mention the way it's written, everything in there from story driven, it's modern, it's easy to understand, really well written. I'm giving this an A tier. One of the most practical books on this list. Like if you're just looking for a straight how-to book, this is nothing but that. Next up, we got How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie. Coming up on almost 100 years old. It was published in 1937. Your grandpa or grandma probably had this sitting on their bookshelf. Estimated 30 million copies sold, although I'm willing to bet it's probably way more. Biggest idea from this book is being interested, not interesting. Now, you can tell by the title, if you've never read this, it's all about winning people over, getting them to like you, being the life of the party. But not in a fake, over-the-top, super phony, charismatic kind of way, in a genuine, sincere, and honest way. And so the biggest principle, be interested, asking people questions, getting them to talk about themselves, connecting with them. Like if you literally just ask people about themselves and you take a genuine interest in other people and you say their names and you do several other techniques from this book, people are gonna walk away from conversations with you and be like, something about that girl, something about that dude, I like him. It's one of the classics, it's one of the OGs, it's by Dale Carnegie, and we're giving it the S tier. Legendary book. If you haven't read this, they're like $2 probably at your local Goodwill. Book is absolutely amazing. I gotta reread that. Speaking of winning people over, let's talk about a book that's banned in prisons. This is a bestseller. It's all about power. It's all about status. It's the 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. 42,000 reviews on Amazon, millions of copies sold. Robert Greene goes over 48 laws that people use to manipulate you. Think old school Hollywood, rising to the top, schmoozing. A very Machiavellian way of approaching life. It's well written. It's got good stories. Again, 42,000 reviews on Amazon, millions of copies sold. Who am I to say this is a bad book? But we are gonna put it on the D tier, and I'll tell you why. Some of these books approach social interactions like a zero-sum game, meaning for someone to win you, someone has to lose. There's an alpha and there's a beta in every single conversation, right? There's kind of like this toxic advice that gets thrown out there. I don't inherently disagree with some of it. Going deeper, it trains you to have very calculated interactions with people where you're always trying to get a reaction out of it or get something from them. It's been a while since I was in the dating market, but I was studying pickup at the time. There were some guys who would just memorize every single pickup line out there. Their whole personality was kind of taken from people online, and it was just this like giant Mr. Potato Head version of them that they thought people would like. But here's the problem. If you approach interactions with a fake mindset, you're gonna get fake interactions, you're gonna attract fake people. And even if you win the interaction and you get the result, you get the girlfriend, you get the boyfriend, you get the promotion, you're gonna feel fake because you kind of weren't yourself going there. And some people who would do that in the dating world, they're like, why are all women terrible? Or why are all people awful? It's like, dude, you did it to yourself. You became a fake person, you used fake strategies, and you got fake people. Wonder why. So for me personally, I'd rather you be authentic. I'd rather you accept yourself more. And I'd rather you understand that it's okay if not everybody likes you. 350 plus million people in America alone, like, yeah, not every single person's gonna like you. So that's the reason it's on the D tier. Is I think there's better books out there that approach interactions from a more genuine standpoint instead of this like power struggle where you have to like checkmate someone into status games. Next up, we have a book not pictured here, The 7 Habits. Yeah, it's in storage somewhere. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. Another old school class. Like when you think of self-improvement books, that is maybe the book you think of. Big idea that I like from it is putting first things first. Stephen Covey does a great job going over a time quadrant. So there's some things that are urgent, important, not important, not urgent, not important, but urgent. Taxes. Very important, not urgent. Checking social media, not important, not urgent. Coming up with content ideas for your business. Not urgent, but very important. Doing your taxes when they're due the next day, urgent and important. The goal with that is to understand that not everything that's super important is urgent, so you have to find time to prioritize it, otherwise it's never gonna get done. And on the flip side, if you only go after what's urgent but not important, like you can do it anytime, you're in a state of what he calls reactivity, where you're just reacting to things thrown at you, people, places, opportunities. You're gonna end up being like, dude, I don't got any time to do my important stuff. So where do we put this book? I'm putting it on the D tier, I'll tell you why. I just think there's more modern, up-to-date books that kind of go over those ideas in a bit more of a digestible, concise manner. 40 million copies sold of the book. It's legendary. It is good, but it's not quite S tier material in my opinion. Let's talk about Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, Joe Dispenza. This is the one you're probably familiar with if you watch the channel, which is why I threw it in. I love this book. Biggest idea is on your subconscious mind. Now, like an iceberg, there's your conscious mind, what you're watching me on right now and understanding and thinking. It's all conscious. But then like an iceberg where 90% is beneath the surface, there's your subconscious mind. He would call this your programming, because just like your habits are on autopilot, a lot of what you do and think is a subconscious program. If you like sciencey books, if you like dense material, this book goes deep. I mean, literally the first third is just all about brain chemistry and neuroscience. Fantastic book. I'm giving this a B tier. I think it's a little dense for people. If you're just looking to get inspired and just for something quick, it's not the book I would suggest. But if you're looking for a deep dive and you really are serious about rewiring yourself, hands down, this is probably the best book you can read on the subject. And if you like a little more hippy dippy, like myself, like a more spiritual perspective to the self-improvement, this is definitely one. 6 million copies sold for this next one. The 4 Agreements. Very short book. You can probably read this in an hour or two. And if your name is Matt, don't hate me. I have your book because I just ordered a used one on Amazon. Jojo hopes you enjoy it. How brutal would it be if it was like his wife who gave him the book or something, resold on Amazon? I respect the hustle, Matt. Talks about Toltec wisdom, and there's 4 major agreements that you make and you must make to live a good life. One of those off the top of my head that I liked was being impeccable with your word. Essentially just not lying. You can't run from yourself. So if you're feeling like shame or guilt or low vibe, sometimes you're not being impeccable with your word. You're not following through on what you say you're gonna do. The habit you wanna make and you're super committed to getting your health back, let's take this. And you have the decision, you're looking at your running shoes, you're like, dang, I told myself I was gonna get in shape. I told myself I was gonna go to the gym. But then you don't, and you go to the fridge and you pull out the unhealthy food or the Flamin' Hots again. You probably don't keep those in your fridge, right? And then later that day, you feel low vibe or you feel depressed or you feel like you have low self-esteem. To be blunt, you probably should have low self-esteem. We're lying to ourselves. So where are we putting this bad boy? I'm gonna give this the C tier. I think it's very simple. I think it's easy to read, but it might be too simple for some people to where they maintain it and there's depth behind it. Very good book though. This fun? Let me know in the comments if you like this video. And yes, we do have another S tier book. The next book talks about the voice inside your mind. You might just listen to it and be like, man, I'm so negative. Why am I so hard on myself? And then feeling bad makes you feel bad even more. Well, this next book tells you that that voice ain't you. That's not the real you. And that you're not responsible for that voice. The Untethered Soul, Michael Singer, fantastic, beautiful read on how to do that. So if you're not the voice, who are you? You're the one who hears it. You're the one who chooses. You're the one who listens to it. That's the foundation of mindfulness and meditation, is not over-identifying with your thoughts and observing them, learning to. So where am I putting The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer? I'm giving this one the A tier. Fantastic book. Next up, we got The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle. You know, if it's got an endorsement from Oprah, this thing has sold a ton of copies. The big idea is written in the title, now. The past and the future are really illusions, if you think about it. Because when do you experience your past? Well, yeah, you experienced it, but when you're reliving it in your mind, it's in the now. And when you're daydreaming about the future, when you're gonna experience it, when are you actually gonna experience it? Not in the future, you're gonna experience it in the now. So if you have a timeline here, right, of A, Z, past, future, and the now's right here, people think they move linearly through time. Like, okay, here's the past, now I'm in the now, and then the future. But it's more of a snapshot throughout the whole thing. It's like now, 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 now. The now is all there is. And I'm all about setting yourself up for 5 years down the road. Dang, if you're neglecting the now, you're missing out and robbing yourself of a lot of the joy that life has. So where are we putting this on our tier? Power Now, we're giving it the C tier. Worth a read for sure. Personally, for me, I didn't have that big, massive like clouds part and I see for the first time. Kind of epiphany moment when I read it. We got one final book. I was 30 grand in debt, living in my mom's basement. I had to take like 3 jobs working through college. My girlfriend had just broken up with me. And one of those jobs that I took to pay through college, student loans aren't free, you have to pay them back, it turns out. I was a janitor. So I'd literally scrub toilets. It paid really well because no one wanted to do it. But instead of just like going in there and being like, oh, I have to scrub toilets, whatever. I was 18, 19 at the time. And I remember telling myself, how can I use this to be like one of the most positive experiences I can have? I would download all these old school self-development lectures. And one of the guys was Tony Robbins. I listened to this book, Unlimited Power. There's one book I can recommend for someone to like turn their life around and believe in themselves, realize their own power, take it back, do a complete 180 if you're down in the dumps. It would be this one. It had that effect for me at least. Maybe that was the time and place I was at where I needed it. Truly is a classic. It's by the coach of all coaches, Tony Robbins. We're giving this the S tier, baby. My favorite point is where focus goes, your energy flows. Most people operate through life about what's wrong. They turn on the news, there's always something wrong. If it bleeds, it leads. That's how they make money. The algorithms will show you more negativity than they will positivity. It's been proven. And so if you look around in the world, you'll think it's all going to hell in a handbasket, and that leads you to the natural conclusion, well, if everything sucks, why bother? And that's literally how some people operate through life. It's really sad. But where focus goes, your energy flows. If you're focused on not what's lacking, but what you have, or what you can have, or what you want, your whole subconscious that we've been talking about throughout all these books, your whole actions, your whole habits are gonna align with that. And you can do it even faster if you model after people who have done it before. Success leaves clues. Metamorphic program's open. If you wanna join it, I'll link it in the description below, where we help you create and shift into what we call the 2.0 highest version of you. We do that over 10 weeks. You get to work with myself personally. You get to have conversations about books and ideas, all like this. You have a community that supports you. I'll link down below where you can have a call with one of my team members, a coach, and they can see if we can actually help you. Thanks so much for watching. Till next time, stop settling, start living. See ya.